Has Korea been treating you well? Except the weather. I'm sorry about the weather, but I hope that we did our best, especially with the very special 선생님들. Let me introduce myself with a very authentic Korean way. I was born in 1982, which means I'm 1 years old? Okay, that's first thing that you should talk about yourself when you introduce yourself while you're meeting a new person in Korea. And my blood type is A. Do you know what that means? Triple A. So I'm very introvert. Do you know what MBTI is? Yeah, my MBTI is ISTJ. Oh, you know what that means. Who else is ISTJ? Oh, good, one person. She's not friendly, but very strict. Okay. Who is ENFP? Yeah, we are opposite. They're very friendly, very positive. We're not. And I'm a father of 3 beautiful kids. We just celebrated our 13th anniversary of our wedding with my wife. Thank you. And like I said, my name is 최원호. You can call me David if you would. My job is I'm a director of International Students Affairs and Globalization at a Mechanical Engineering Department, PNU. So my job is basically help and support the international students. I sometimes mobilize them from all over the world, and also I interview them for the acceptance. And whenever they have any issues, I always with them. So mostly I'm at hospitals or real estate agencies or even police station. If you have a chance to visit police station, please call me because they're very friendly. It's very clean. I sometimes bring some of the students of they didn't know, but they hit and run. They hit the car and they didn't even notice it, so they just technically ran, right? And the police found out who the person was, and they had to go to the police station. They were so scared of everything, and I was with them, and they were really surprised with the fact that policemen are very nice and the police station were very clean, and everything was okay because of the insurance here in Korea. So my job is that, and today I'll be specifically talking about building up partnership with interpersonal understanding. So among the Korean students, please tell me what this place is. This is located in Busan, and this is a beautiful, beautiful place. I love to recommend you to visit here someday while you are staying here. Anyone know what this place is? Maybe next slide. You have more clue? No? Next slide. No one knows? This is located in Busan, in the middle of Busan. Has anyone ever visited here? No? How about the international students? Have you guys ever seen this type of photo or heard about this type of facilities? Yeah?
I guess the Citizen Park.
Citizen Park. No, sorry. You won't get any prize. How about someone else? This is very, very important place in Busan. Seriously, yeah. Where are you from? Are you Korean? No. Where are you from? Singapore. Thank you. Wow, I am amazed. How did you know this? Good. But how did you know that this is UN flag? I mean, that's incredible. So, this is a UN Memorial Cemetery or UN Memorial Park. So, actually, this park is the only and unique park that a country would contribute to the UN. And I'll explain why this is the only UN cemetery in the world. So UN was created in the year of 1945, and Korean War broke in the year of 1950. So 5 years later, there's a big war. And UN decided to dispatch their force in the name of UN to the Korean War to help the South Koreans to fight against the communism. Okay, so ever since then, there's no case that UN send their troops or forces to anywhere else. Okay, so this is the only UN cemetery park in the world, and this is very close from here. I hope you can have some opportunity to visit here someday while you're staying here. Will that be possible for you guys? Maybe next time. So this park is very special because we had 16 countries who supported us with the combat aids. And when I saw the list of the students who participated here this time, I was really surprised that many of you guys are representing these countries. Who's from Australia? Who's from Belgium? Who's from Canada? Who's from Colombia? No. Ethiopia? France. And Greece? No. Luxembourg and Netherlands? No. Oh, one from Netherlands and New Zealand, Philippines, South Africa, Thailand, Turkey, no, and United Kingdom and United States. I mean, would you please give them a warm hand to be thankful for their sacrifices and service? Please, please. 우리 박수로 이분들에게 이 나라를 대표해서 한국을 도와준 것을 감사합시다. And there are another 6 countries who supported us with the medical aids. I think we had some students from Denmark, Germany, yeah, and India, Italy, Norway, Sweden. And I heard that there are students from Japan. Who's from Japan? And did you know that Japan also helped us unofficially during the Korean War? Have you ever heard about that fact before? Because you helped us with the cruise ship to send some stuff in the middle of the war. So many of you guys, I mean, your ancestors and your fathers and mothers, grandmothers and grandfathers, they helped us to establish democracy in this country, in this peninsula. I'll speak a little more about the Korean War. So during the Korean War, we had about 1.75 million people who were in Korean War from United Nations, and 895 of them died during the Korean War. And I was privileged to host many of the war veterans to the UN cemetery while I was working in this city. And one of the very distinguished guests that I had is this guy named Henry Hawley. When he visited here, he was, I think, a little more than 80 years old, and he fought in the Korean War. And I was shocked that he visited Korea more than 300 times since Korean War. Can you believe that? 300 times. And 8 times to North Korea. I mean, he met Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of Kim Jong-un, Kim Il-sung, in person a few times. He's a war hero. And I had the privilege to host him to the UN cemetery. And this is Wall of Remembrance. You saw that about 40,000 people passed away during the Korean War, and we engraved every one of their names on this marble wall so that we can remember their names. And since United States sent the most troops, we have about 37,000 US soldiers pass away during the Korean War. And that's why we divided it into states, especially for United States, since there are too many of them. And when we walked through these walls, Mr. Hawley went through the states that he was dispatched from. And he found out his friend's name on the wall. And I mean, the people around him was like, had to become silent at the moment. And I vividly remember what he said to me at that moment, because I was his translator as well. So he told me this: freedom is not free. Someone had to pay their sacrifice and passion to save a certain country. You know, when you visit this cemetery, most of them who fought at this war like 19, 20, 22. I think the youngest is 17. They were dispatched to the country they have never met, they have never heard about, but they were willing to fight, to protect, this value called democracy. And that's why I'm not just saying that we are grateful for your grandfather and grandmothers, but we sincerely are thankful for your service and sacrifice. Is this too heavy in the morning? There's one good news for you guys. They prepared a coffee and snacks, so it's going to be a shorter lecture today, and then we will enjoy some snack time. Yay. So I started off with some heavy subject, but believe me, it's going to be more serious. After the Korean War, I don't know if you've heard about this or not. So the war was about a little more than 3 years after the Korean War. This Korean peninsula, especially the south, were devastated by these, attacks and everything. And the official record says that South Korea, were the second poorest country in the world. Can you believe that? The annual yearly income per person was $67 back then. It was only 7 years ago. My father was born during the Korean War. Okay, my father was born in 1952. And he told me that he is fifth, I think, among 10 or 11. My grandmother gave birth to my father, right? And she didn't have anything to eat for 3 to 4 days. So my father started to seem like a food for her. That's how devastated the Korean was. And thankfully, because of the help from UN, because of the help of the people around the world, I am here. I am here to give you this type of lecture to celebrate this, amazing thing that can happen if we start to think about each other, if we start to think about the relational importance amongst us. This is a miracle. That's why we call the development of Korea as Han River Miracle. Have you ever heard about that term before? 한강의 기적. Korea is the only country that once were supported by the other countries in the world, but we became the donor to the world. We are the only country in the modern history that became from the ones who had to receive aid, but we are the ones who can give aid to the other people. And that's how we can host this type of programs for you guys. And I think it was 2 months ago, I visited Uzbekistan. Have you guys ever been to those countries? Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, they are so lovely people. And we had, meetings with a lot of universities. Uzbekistan people love Korean people, especially from universities. That's why they hosted us with the president's security vans. We were in a van and they ignored all the traffic signal. It was so fun to watch it. I've never experienced something like that before. And the meeting was so spectacular and they really liked us. They always had wanted to have a MOU with us and it was so good. And in the middle of that, there was some time that I can spend some time by myself. So I wanted to walk by the park and I did. And it was such a nice weather and I enjoyed the weather and the park and everything. And suddenly there's kids, I think there were elementary school kids, and they noticed me. Not because that I'm a handsome or special guy, but they somehow noticed me. They asked me this question, "Are you Korean?" I was like, "Yeah." And they said, "사랑해요." 안녕하세요. I have never been thankful to BTS before. But that time, I was so grateful for them, even though I don't remember their names except RM. But, sorry ARMYs, but I was so surprised that they even recognized me, and they were little kids, right? So, once this development started, up to this point, I don't know how, but I don't know why, but somehow, once you start to put K in front of the word, it sounds like a good thing. K-drama, K-movie, K-food, what else? K-whatever. We've never had this type of status in the history of our country. We always were invaded by the other country. The Korea, this little peninsula was invaded by the other countries in the history 900 times. 900 times. And we have never invaded the others because we were weak. Seriously. But now we are having this, privileges and, fame or whatever. How? There were people, helped us seriously with their lives. Even President Yoon, when he gave a speech at the U.S. Congress, I think it was 3 weeks ago, he mentioned a lot of missionaries and organizations and people who came to help us. And that's how and why we all are here, especially I am here. I told you that it's going to be very, very serious again and again. So let me switch the topic from history and war and thankfulness we have to some sad reality of Korea. Sorry, I missed one thing. This is really important. I don't know whether you guys know this, but the educational philosophy of PNU is these 3 things. Repeat after me, please. 진리, 자유, 봉사. Your pronunciation is really great. Seriously, really good. 한국 학생들 그렇죠? 우리 한국 학생들이 누구야, 근데? I can't tell who's Korean and who's not. 우리 부산대 학생들, 우리 부산대 모교의 이 모토 알고 있나요? They didn't even know, so I'll teach you guys why this is our motto. So 진리 is truth, and 자유 is freedom, and 봉사 is service or commitment. The founder of PNU, his name is Dr. Yoon In-gu. He was born in 1903, and he studied his undergraduate in Japan. He finished his master in England, and he got his PhD in he finished his master in United States, Princeton, and he finished his PhD in England. Born in 1903, so he came back to Korea when he was 35, with a PhD of philosophy. And he actually started to work as a pastor in a local church. And after the Korean War, U.S. Army wanted to find out someone who can take charge of the education around this region. And they found him. That's how he started this university 70 more years ago. Isn't that amazing? And he set this motto for this university. I believe that it is from the Bible verse of John chapter 8. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that's how he got these phrases. And once we know the truth, and we will be set free. I believe that the truth here also can refer to this type of relationship that we have. Love for one another. Having partnership with one another. So that we can have this type of true freedom that we are tasting right now in this very moment and place. And that's how and why we can serve the others. Right? This is, I think, very important order once you start to serve someone else without any freedom, without any truth, then the serving itself can be, I don't know, idolized. Yeah, I served this much. I just donated this much of money. I'm a good person. No, that's not how it should be working. Or someone would say that, yeah, I can be free whatever way I want to be, or however way that I want to serve the others, I am free. But without any truth, without any standard, it is almost impossible to serve them in a way that they would be appreciated. Does it make sense? So that's why and how he started off this university from the truth, and it moves on to the freedom, and now we are having service time, I believe. Yes, and like I said, I was about to share about the sad reality of the Korean society. I'm not sure whether you guys are level of this difficult words, but I'm sure that you can read these. Can anyone read? Huh? 단일민족. 단일민족. Good. So you guys are very good. And can any Korean student explain what this means? 우리 한국 학생이에요? No? Who's Korean here? 한국 학생? 오케이. 이름이? 민종이. 민종 학생. 전공이? 기계공학부. 그렇지. 기계공학부. 그럴 것 같았어. I'm from mechanical engineering. He's from mechanical engineering. Since he is a mechanical engineer, I think he is very well aware of this terminology, which is not related to the engineering at all. But can you explain just a little bit about this terminology, what it means and what it means to you? 한글로 해. 내가 영어로 해줄게.
옛날부터
From long time ago.
옛날부터
We are the one ethnic group. No other people in this peninsula, right? And what else? He wasn't this passionate, but I was translating his heart, okay?
단일민족 있다고 많이들 말하는데 저는 요새 단일민족이 의미가 있는지.
Good. So this terminology literally means that monoethnicity, okay, or single race nation. And most of the ancestors in our father generation, they were very proud of this fact that we are 단일민족. No other nations or ethnic group has ever emerged into this country. We are very single-minded. I don't know whether it's a good thing or not, but we are very single-raised ethnicity. And he just said that he's not sure whether we are no longer a 단일민족 or not anymore. And why? Why is that? Because you guys. Because of this type of program, right? But the thing that I wanted to tell you related with this terminology is that Koreans have never been getting along with other international people so far yet. I mean, you guys are staying here about 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks is perfect. There's no discrimination, no hard feelings, right? But once you start to settle down here, once you start to, genuinely live here, then there's a lot of incidents or events that you would not like. Because Koreans actually don't really know how to be polite, how to be genuinely friendly to people like you guys. Once I had a student from, I'm not going to mention his country, but maybe he's from South America. He's from that country. He's a very brilliant guy and he's smart. He got GKS scholarship. Do you know what that is? Global Korean scholarship. So Korea government, we fund them everything about the tuition and even living expenses. We pay them, not me, but the Korean government pays them 1 million won per month. Wow. No tuition and living expenses. So he's that smart guy. So he is studying at our department. And when he came to Busan, PNU for the first time, I invited him over to my office and we started to have a conversation. Since his first language is Spanish, I said, hablo español un poquito. Anyone know Spanish? My wife, she studied Spanish. So, and I said this to him, welcome to Korea. 자, 우리 한국 학생들 따라하세요. Welcome to Korea. 좀 발음 좀 제대로 해보자 우리. Welcome to PNU. Welcome 하지 말고 좀. Welcome to Korea. I literally said that to him, and he started to cry. And I was, why? What happened? He studied Korean for a year in Jeju Island, and he moved to PNU because he was really passionate about the mechanical engineering. But for the 1 year and a half, no one has ever said anything like welcoming him. He's black, and so Koreans don't know how to treat people like you guys because of this identity. It's been like 5,000 years. Seriously. We've never had this type of international gathering or community ever before. And now I believe that we are starting to have someone like you. Not as a visitor, not as an international student. I'm going to explain something that might be helpful and useful for you guys. And before that, I would love to ask you one more question related to this number. Not Korean students, okay? This time, international students. Do you guys know what this number represents? Don't tell her, okay? Has anyone has any clue what this number represents? Yeah?
I'm not sure. I think was it the birth rate?
Yes. You two are very good couple. So this is the average birth rate of an average Korean woman for their entire life. This is not only the lowest rate in the world, but also this is the lowest rate in human history. Seriously, no one has ever achieved this type of thing before, because if they did, then they will be not here anymore. If you continue to have, like this type of population, you need to have at least 2.3 or 2. That's how you can maintain the similar population in the world, in a country. But less than 2.2 or 3, then it will be vanished very soon. Many experts are worrying about the situation of Korea because of this number that in about 30 years, not too far away, in about 30 years, Korea will disappear. Have you ever imagined that before? You have a question?
What's the main reason that it's so low?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that good question. I have 3 kids, and many people are saying that, oh, wow, 3. But I have a burden as a father and husband. Money for education is like the highest in the world. And the competition for the colleges for PNU, you can't just despise these PNU students since their English is not as good as yours. But what they did for the competition for SAT was crazy. You guys know that they didn't even sleep more than 4 hours when they prepared for the SAT, right? 우리 한국 학생들 고3 때 4시간 이상 안 잤지? We have this word that 사당 오락, which means if you sleep 4 hours, then you'll have more chance to get accepted. If you sleep 5 hours a day during this preparation, then you'll be failed. Seriously, we have this saying. So the competition is too high. And I mean, the problem with the real estate is quite serious. So as a young couple, married couple, it is really difficult to buy or purchase a house that they can just be comfortable with within the range of their job opportunity. So it is very difficult. And I mean, there are tons of other reasons, but I'll maybe share more with you guys later on. And please, and also if you have any questions, feel free to ask whenever you want to. I know that this is very serious crisis for Korean society. I mean, even Japan, I think they've been going through this type of difficulties for many more years than us. And China is starting to have this type of difficulties right now. They're decreasing. So the number one population in the world is now where? India. It's not China anymore. Yeah. It just changed last year or maybe 2 years ago. Yeah. And most of the countries that you guys are from are advanced countries, and we are having a very similar difficulties and problems and challenges related with this type of birth rate. But Korea is number one. We always had to be number one at some point in any area. And I'm sure that this challenge will make us overcome this identity. Okay? I mean, we can be no longer a 단일 민족. We're all by ourselves. We're all gonna do everything by ourselves. No. Many of my friends are working at Samsung, and they always come to me. They're the engineers, right? And they always they have so many Indian coworkers, so many friends, international friends, and they were always worried about how to speak English. So I was like, oh man, you are such a good engineer. I mean, working at Samsung is top-notch job, and you don't even speak a very basic English. And I want to plead to the international people here. My English is not normal, okay? Because the system of English education, because I used to work as an English teacher, in Korea the English education is, how can I say the worst word without swearing? Crazy. I mean, Koreans are very good at, I think, reading and grammar, but they never had a chance to speak a word out up until the college years. Okay? I mean, they were exposed to this type of reading and writing, reading and grammar for more than 10 years at least. And when they enter into the college, that's when they start to do certain things to improve their speaking abilities by themselves. That's what I did as well. I've watched many movies and things like that I love. I'm a music lover, so I watched a lot of drum lessons and guitar lessons. Back then, there wasn't any YouTube or like that, so I had to copy the DVDs and then watch it over and over again. But still, that's how I got my English as well. So please don't blame the Koreans whenever they stutter, okay? Just feel empathy for them. Oh, how poor, how sad. The Korean education system make you like this, and help them to communicate better with English. Please. Will you? 우리 한국 학생들 너무 기죽지 말고요. 우리 또 열심히 해봐요. 오케이? 힘든 거 있으면 나한테 찾아오고 잘 가르쳐 줄 테니까. 나도 뭐 처음부터 이렇게 했겠어요, 그죠? 처음에는 많이 버벅댔는데 이제 잘하게 됐어요. Am I teaching or preaching? So, the Ministry of Justice of Korea, they started to think about the new rules and laws, how to welcome the international people. Because we've never had this type of time and place that we are so desperate to welcome and have more international people. And I'm not joking to you guys, but once you start to, this is just short-term program, but if you have a chance to study here, maybe undergraduate or master, whatever, then many of the international students that I have in my department, they already spent at least 4 years, and maybe PhD students, they have already spent 10 years. Their Korean is great. Their academic career is great. And I am very sure that Korean government will give them Korean citizenship if they want. But it has never happened before. Okay? We have about 3 million international people in Korea right now. It's not that many compared to the population, but I'm pretty sure within 30 years, before we as a Korea, as a nation, vanish, I'm pretty sure we will have to be more globalized. I mean, that's why I am working here at PNU. That's, I think, one of the reasons that you guys are here. Are you willing to study or get married or getting a job here in Korea? 자, 우리 한국 학생들 손 들어봐요. 한국 학생들 손 들어봐. 나 지금 다 오케이. Are you guys willing to get married internationally? 우리 한국 학생들 국제 결혼 괜찮아? So what's your name? What's your name? 효정? 효정이. Are you okay with 국제 결혼 international marriage? Yeah. Really? See, even her age, even with her like a understanding of international environment, for us, we've never had those type of things before. So we are scared. We're scared to live with you guys. Seriously. Serious, because we don't know how to welcome, we don't know how to say greetings to the person, or we don't know how to be polite, because there are things that's not polite and polite, right? But we need to learn more. Okay? And that's the things that you need to teach us. Please. Please. English-wise and international etiquette-wise, I think you guys are more than welcome to this country. Okay. I had another interesting stories, but let's move on. So this is the last topic that I wanted to share to you guys. I'm pretty sure that many of you have already seen this picture. And this is a satellite picture of Korean Peninsula. This is the reality that we are facing right now. Have you guys ever met any North Korean defectors in person? No? Not even Koreans? I have many North Korean defector friends. I've met them a lot. I've heard a lot of stories from them. I mean, story after story after stories. I mean, the things they have gone through was, I'm pretty sure that you've already imagined how horrific that must have been. I mean, it's always life and death situation. We have about 30,000 North Korean defectors here in Korea. They're living quite well because once they are here, the Korean Intelligence Agency has a special organization called Hanawan. They teach them how to be a citizen of South Korea because of the system is totally opposite. Just imagine that if you are transferred to the future, maybe 20, 30, 50 years later in the future, how would you feel? That's the exact feeling that the North Korean must have felt when they came to Korea. Everything is like something that they've never seen or heard before. Okay? So the Hanawan, the special organization, they teach them and train them for about 3 to 6 months. They search every background, every relationship they had in North Korea because they had to examine whether they're spies or not, right? And then they teach them how to survive here in Korea. They sometimes teach them how to do the nail polishing or making coffees. I mean the jobs that they can do in Korea. And the culture and terminology. I mean, we've been separated for more than 70 years. So the words are different, the intonations are different, everything is very, very different. And most of them are starving to death at some point, right? So they have many illnesses. So we gave them free surgeries and medical checkup, everything. And even though it belongs to the National Intelligence Agency, which is quite scary, but the ones working at Hanwon, they're very polite, and most of the North Korean women, they always said that they were handsome and like they're really kind. I mean, they are. We believe that they are also our citizens. So once they put their foot in this land, then we just recognize them as our citizen right away. And we help them to survive, and also we equip them how to be a true citizens here in Korea. Last, I think it was 2 months ago or just last month, Korean government published this paper. Have you ever seen this before? Report on North Korean human rights, Ministry of Unification. No? I mean, actually, you can download this book on the website, and it's about 600 pages. And I'm gonna quote what President Yoon said at the US Congress. The report documents a wide range of abuses in North Korea. It is based on the testimonies of 508 North Korean defectors collected over the past 5 years. It records many cases of serious violation of international norms, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other human rights agreements. Unspeakable and horrendous incidents took place. Men and women being shot and killed for violating COVID-19 prevention. Some being publicly executed for watching and sharing South Korean shows. And people being shot in public for possessing the Bible and having faith. We need to raise awareness. We must inform the world of the gravity of North Korea's human rights violations. I ask for your help in improving North Korea's grim conditions. They had to run, walk, and swim about 12,000 kilometers to be here in Korea. It normally takes about 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, they had to just literally walk through the forest. There's some elephants and alligators. Seriously. And they had to swim across the big rivers again and again. Kids. 70% of the North Korean defectors are women and children. And the ones who are helping them to get out of there is mostly Christian mission organizations in China. They have a connection with the people in North Korea. They had this deal, and as a broker, they can let them out of that land. So, and also they are with them until they get into Korea here. And that's how difficult it is. It's always life and death situation. You know what items they have to carry while they decided to come to South Korea? There are 2 items they always carry while they're walking and running. One is knife, the other is poison. When they got caught by the policemen in China or somewhere else, they had to kill themselves. Otherwise, there's no way to be sent back to North Korea. They'll be put to death. I mean, either in concentration camp or, like President Yoon said, they will be executed in public. I mean, just possessing Korean drama will kill them. Just having 1 page of the Bible, it'll kill them. Seriously. I mean, not in a prison, but they always hang them in the public so that people can see it. It is that serious. Personally, I believe that one of the biggest threats in the world that we are facing right now is Kim Jong-un. You know, so Kim Jong-un's grandfather is Kim Il-sung, right? Did you guys know that he has Christian background? Yeah, North Korea was very famous for a strong Christianity back in the days. And Kim Il-sung had that influence. And also he kind of, fully understand what Christianity is all about. And he switched God with himself. When you see the videos of North Koreans, they're like clapping and like crying, just like worshiping the dictators. Have you ever seen those type of videos? I was like, why are they doing that? It's just ideology. It's just communism. Why are they worshiping their dictators? Have you ever thought about that before? It is because that North Korea is not just a country possessed by the ideology called communism. It's more like a cult group. Okay? They are deceived by these false teachings. And they are more like slaves to this pseudo-religious thing. Okay? And there are more than 100 cities where they have more than 1 million population within a reach of North Korea's missiles. Once Kim press the button, then we don't know where it goes. Seriously, yesterday shot another missile. Yesterday. This year alone, the cost of the missile they launched this year alone is about 500 billion won, which is 4 or 500 million US dollar. They spent that much money on missiles alone. But we're hearing the news is that from even Pyongyang, which is the capital city of North Korea, people are starting to die because of the starvation. It has never happened before. And the inner people, they are reporting to us that many of the people are hoping to have even war so that they could be free. We used to send them by the balloons, okay? We make this big balloon so that it can fly to the North Korean. If we prepare a strong enough balloon that it could be flying up to the North Korean regions, right? When the wind is enough. So we make some like a cooked food, rice, and US dollar and DVD of Korean stuff so that they can be revealed what's going on in the world because they have no opportunity, no chance to be exposed to the information of the world at all. Many of them still believe that North Korea is the paradise. Seriously? But because of the COVID, more than 3 years, the border has shut down. 100%. Now they even have soldiers, they're shooting when they try to sell and buy things. They always had to buy things from China or Russia so that they have their own markets, right? But for the past 3 and more years, they had no chance to do that at all. So now I believe that is why Kim Jong-un and his sister is trying to, mocking us more and shooting missiles more. It is a very critical moment. And I believe that you guys are so brave to come to Korea in this very critical moment. Are you? Yeah, he said, yes, I'm brave. I'm brave to come to Korea. The North Korea's main sources of income. Do you know what that is? They're shooting missiles.
They steal a lot of crypto, I heard.
Yes. Yes, cyber hacking. That's what they do. Number one thing. That makes a lot of money. And US government is noticing that, so they are preventing that these days. What else? They're making heroines, drugs. Making heroin in a factory makes a lot of smell. So it is really difficult to make those type of factories in the middle of the city. So they always make those factories in the middle of the mountains or very rural area. But what they do in North Korea is they are making drugs in a government level. It's very pure, very strong, very expensive. That's how they make their incomes. And where they are spending their money on? Shooting missiles. While the citizens are starving to death. 26 million people are seriously not knowing anything about in the world. Some of the people in a higher position, they know. And also, like I said, some people who already saw stuff of South Korea, they are recognizing something is not right. Is it really South Korea? That we always was taught that South Korea is like a hell, US is like the craziest enemy, but is it what's really happening in South Korea? Can we eat enough? Like I said, at Hanawan, what they always ask is, can I eat more? Because they always have this distribution from the government. It's very minimum amount of money they have to consume every day. They've never worked or they've never, put their energies on to make more monies or food. But in this country, everything is different. That's why I said that personally, I believe that Kim Jong-un is like one of the most difficult challenges that we have right now. And that is the terrible, terrible example of a relational isolation that we can see right now in this world. When you are shutting off, when you cut yourself off from the others in terms of the relations, and that's, I believe, what's happening in North Korea. North Korea is like a very bad, horrible example of being isolated relationally in this world. So what I wanted to share with you guys today is how are we going to make this world better in terms of the relationship. I explained about the Korean War and the sad reality of the Korean society, but also the future. Maybe it could be brighter because of you guys. And also the situation of North Korea, which is the example of relational isolation. I hope this lecture would give you some insights and some helpful informations. And I think my time is up because of the coffee break that you would all be waiting for. And before we wrap up the first session, do you guys, any of you have any questions? Yeah?
About the population thing, is that why a lot of Koreans are moving to like Canada and America to have a baby there and then they just stay there?
So, not exactly, because the reason why they moved to Canada or United States to have a baby is that because I think they allowed us to have a dual citizenship. So that's why I think they moved there to have their babies. And mostly they want to stay, but many of the times it's not that easy to stay there for good. But, last year alone, Canada, Canadian, who's Canadian? Do you know how many people they accepted as immigrants last year alone in Canada? 1 million. Last year alone. Seriously. That's how the world is working right now. They have to accept and they have to build more relationship like this. Thank you for your question. Anyone else? So I think then this is it for my first session. So after the coffee break, I would love you guys to have a group discussion with some questions. And then if you are okay, I want you to give your presentation or short answers about the questions, especially Koreans, right?